Good morning, everybody. Today is Wednesday, April 15th, 2020. And today we are going to start our circle time with a story, and then we're going to talk about the different feelings we have and what some of those feelings do for us, whether it's you're happy or you're sad or you're mad and angry. And then we're going to continue with our beginning sounds for letters G, R, D, O, and K. And then you have a journal entry to do, and we are still going to be continuing to talk about ourselves. So our journal entry is stated, I am, and you are going to fill in the blank. So let's get started with our story today. And we are reading The Princess and the Pizza. And up here is our title. And at the bottom is our authors. And this one has two authors. Princess Paulina needed a job. Her father had given up his throne to become a wood carver and moved them to a humble shack in a neighboring kingdom. Since the king was still learning his carvings, they didn't sell very well, and Paulina's garden barely kept enough to keep on the table. Paulina missed princessing. She missed walking the peacock in the royal garden, and surveying the kingdom from the castle tower, and doing the business wave and the royal progressions. Paulina tried walking a stray chicken around her shack, but it only pecked at her bare toes. Surveying the kingdom from the shack's leaky roof made even more holes. She tried princess waving to the townspeople from her father's cart, but nobody bothered to wave back. They just thought she was swatting at flies. One day, a page rode past the shack, announcing that Queen Zelda of Bloom was seeking a true princess to become the bride of her son, Prince Rupert. This is my chance to get back to princessing, Paulina cried. She rummaged through her trunk of ex-princess stuff, brushed the wood shavings from her best ball gown, and blew away the bits of sawdust that clung to her diamond tiara. Then she tucked a piece of garlic into her bonnet for good luck, snipped some fragrant herbs to cover up the garlic smell, and headed for the castle. Paulina didn't expect much competition. There wasn't another princess for hundreds of miles. But when she got to Bloom Castle, Paulina found she was one of 12 princesses hoping to become the royal bride. When she looked into her assigned room, Paulina saw her bed piled with 16 mattresses. Oh, for Pete's sake, the old princess and the pea trick, that's so once upon a time. Naturally, Paulina didn't sleep all night because she felt the lumpy pea all through the mattress. When the 12 princesses gathered in the throne room the next morning, the 7 who looked bright-eyed were sent home. Now Paulina and 4 other sleepy princesses remained. First, they were made to write essays entitled Why I Want to Be the Gracious and Exquisitely Beautiful Queen Zelda for My Mother-in-Law. Prince Rupert and Queen Zelda finally appeared on the balcony. Queen Zelda did all the talking. Congratulations, ladies. You have written some lovely essays, which I will keep in my scrapbook, and you have all passed the mattress test. But to make absolutely sure you are one of the royal blood, there is a second test. Only a true princess can wear these glass slippers. For Pete's sakes, you never heard of sneakers? Paulina asked. Queen Zelda gave Paulina a sharp look. Nobody said you had to hike in them. Just try them on. After the royal page made his way around the room with the slippers, 2 big-footed princesses were sent home. Now only Paulina and 2 others remained. One was followed around by 7 strange little men, and the other had such a long braid dragging behind her, Paulina kept tripping over it. For Pete's sakes, you ever heard of scissors? Paulina cried. Queen Zelda glared at Paulina. You all have passed the second princess test. Your final test is to cook a feast. That proves you are worthy of being my dear Drupert's wife." This set up a wail among the princesses, especially Paulina. "For Pete's sake, you have no royal chef?" "Silence," said the queen. "The table holds the makings for 3 fine feasts. Choose well, for the winner will become my dear Drupert's bride." As Paulina started for the table, the long-haired princess tripped her, then loaded up with food. By the time Paulina got there, the 7 strange little men had run off with everything but some flour, yeast, water, 3 overripe tomatoes, and a hunk of stale cheese. "Hey, that's not fair. Queen Zelda, will you help me?" "No," said the queen, "because you have a big mouth." A servant escorted Paulina to her room and locked the door. "Hey, how can I cook without a bowl or spoons or pots?" There was no reply. Paulina tried to make bread, kneading the flour, water, and yeast together, but it only stuck to the tray in a flattened mess. She squished the tomatoes over the dough to brighten it up. It looked awful. She sprinkled cheese gratings over the top. It was still a mess, and Paulina was exhausted. "For Pete's sake, where's your fairy godmother when you need her? I'm going to take a nap." She reached under the pile of mattresses, pulled out the offending pea, and climbed into bed. She hadn't been sleeping long when there was a knock at the door. "Only 20 minutes left," called Queen Zelda. "I don't smell anything cooking." "I'm not cooking," said Paulina. "I'm napping. Then I'm going home." "You're not going anywhere," said the queen. "The losers will be beheaded." Paulina sat bolt upright. "Beheaded? You didn't tell us that." "I forgot," said the queen. "Can't I have a second chance? How about I try to spin straw with gold? Or maybe I can guess a weird little man's name." "No second chances," declared the queen. "But that's not fair," cried Paulina. "Who needs to be a fairy? I'm the queen." Paulina leaped out of bed and ran to the window, but there was an unbelievably long drop to the ground. The meal was her only hope. She rushed that tray over to the fireplace, stirred the few remaining hot coals, then crushed her garlic and sprinkled it over the mess for good luck. Finally, Paulina tossed on the herbs to cover up the garlic smell. Paulina paced back and forth, planning her escape. Perhaps she could make a deal with the long-haired princess to climb down her braid. She didn't notice that the goopy dough had browned into a crust. The tomatoes were bubbling. The hard bits of cheese had melted, and the fragrance of garlic and herbs filled the room. The page opened the door. "Time's up." Paulina took a deep breath and carried a tray into the great dining room. The other princesses had made lovely feasts, especially the one who had the 7 strange little men to help her. Prince Drupert went right to Paulina's tray. "It's not pretty, but it smells scrumptious." He helped himself to an unusually generous piece. "What do you call this dish?" Paulina shrugged. "I don't know." "It can't be an official entry in the contest if it doesn't have a name," said the queen. "Oh, for Pete's sake," Paulina muttered. "What's that?" snapped the queen. "Pete's what?" Remembering the beheading threat, Paulina frantically tried to think of a name. "It's Pete's... ah..." "Pizza?" The queen took a big bite. "Odd name, but it's tasty. The winner is Paulina's Pizza." You mean I wouldn't be beheaded?" "I was only kidding about the beheading," said the queen. "Then I was only kidding about wanting to marry Prince Drupert. Who needs him? I have other plans." "Will you leave your recipe?" asked the queen. "No way," said Paulina. "It's just become a family secret." She headed for the door. "I liked you best," whined the queen, following close behind. "Oh, for Pete's sake," muttered Paulina as she stomped across the drawbridge. Paulina's Pizza, Princess Paulina's Pizza Palace opened a few weeks later. It featured unusual carved furniture and 50 kinds of pizza. Every Thursday on the royal chef's night off, Queen Zelda and Prince Drupal came to Paulina's for popcorn pineapple pizza. They often stayed to play cards with Paulina's father. From then on, whenever Paulina drove her pizza delivery cart through the town during the Princess Wave, everybody waved back and ran after her, asking about the day's specials. Life was good. Paulina was grateful not to have Queen Zelda for a mother-in-law, but she still worried about one little thing. She worried about getting Queen Zelda as her stepmother. The end. That was a great story. Now we are going to talk about our feelings. And I'm going to write some of the feelings we may have down. So sometimes, like in the story, you may be tired or exhausted. And another feeling you could have could be what? Sometimes when you don't get your way, you may feel angry. Another feeling you may have if you get a toy that you've always wanted. Would you feel sad? Or would you feel angry? Or would you feel tired? Or what's another feeling you could have if you get a toy that you've always wanted? You're right, you would probably be really happy. Another feeling you may have when you come to school and mommy or daddy has to leave for the day to go to work. Sometimes some friends, they feel a little sad and sometimes they may cry. So we are going to focus on these 4 emotions today. And we are going to make a list together about these 4 emotions in different times that you have felt tired and angry and happy and sad. So let's all think about a time where we have felt tired. When do you feel tired? Yes, sometimes you feel tired when you're getting up for school. So we can write that in our box for tired. And right now we're making a chart just like we do at school on our chart paper. But since we're not at school, I'm writing it just like this onto our board so we can jot down all of our thoughts and what we're thinking. So what is another time you may feel tired? Yeah, you might feel tired after you've been playing outside all day because with all this nice weather, you spend a lot of time outside. All right, our next feeling is happy. What are some times when you feel happy? We can use our example of when you get a toy you've always wanted. What could another example be? Sometimes you feel happy when you see some friends at school that you haven't seen in a while and you get to play with them. So we can write friends. And another time you may be happy is when you're outside with your friends and everybody wants to play with you or everybody wants to play the game you've chosen. I know that makes you guys so happy. So we could write playing. Now let's talk about the angry feeling. Can everybody make an angry face like this? Sometimes your eyes get really small and you have an angry mouth. So sometimes you feel angry when you don't get your way. If someone tells you, no, not right now, or no, we're not going to do that, that can make you feel very angry. And you know what? It is okay to be angry. But we just want to make sure when we're angry that we don't use our what? We don't use hands or our mouth. to bite, our hands to hit or push. We always want to use our words. So if you feel angry, you just tell someone no, no thank you, or you go tell mommy or daddy or your teacher if something's making you feel angry. So what is another time you feel angry? Yeah, you may feel angry if you don't get to finish what you're doing. Like if you're playing outside and you're having so much fun and then you're told to come inside, but you're not ready. That may make you feel angry. Okay, now let's move on to sad. And there are some times when you're really sad. Like our first example, you get sad sometimes when mommy and daddy have to go to work, when you're still at school. So we can write when mommy and daddy leave. Sometimes that makes you guys cry because you miss them so much. When is another time you might be sad? Yeah, just like when you're angry, sometimes you get sad if you don't get your way or if someone doesn't want to play with you. That would make me really sad too. You guys did a great job at helping me put together our chart for our emotions. So we wrote for tired. When you're getting up for school, you might be really tired. Maybe you didn't get a good night's sleep, or maybe you just want a little bit more time to sleep. Sometimes you get tired from playing outside in the nice weather and running around. When you're angry, you might get angry when someone tells you no, because we don't like those words, because they make us so mad, because we're not getting our way. And sometimes we feel angry when we're told to clean up. We might not be done playing yet, but you know what? You can always come back to what you're doing, but sometimes you have to take a break. And then when we're happy, you feel happy when you get a toy, or when you see your friends at school after it's been a long weekend, or when you're playing with your friends outside, you feel so happy. And lastly, you feel sad sometimes. Sometimes you feel sad when mommy and daddy leave in the morning. Or you feel sad when you leave school and you have to stop what you're doing and go home. And then sometimes you feel sad when someone doesn't want to play with you. But you know what? It's okay to have emotions. And emotions are good for you. But it's always all about how you control your emotions and when you use your words to express yourself, right? All right, next we're going to do our beginning sounds for letter G. So what is a word that begins with the letter G? I am thinking of a fruit, and it comes in kind of an oval shape like this. And it could be green or purple. What fruit do you think I'm talking about that makes the g, g, g sound? You're right, it's the word grapes. So I'm going to write it down just like yesterday. So here is our word grapes, and grapes is spelled G-R-A-P-E-S, grapes. And let's put our special square around our beginning sound. What is our beginning letter for the word grapes? You're right, it's the letter G, and G makes the g, g, g sound, like grapes. Very good, friends. Our next letter is the letter R. And for letter R, I am thinking of another food. And it is white and it's really tiny. And lately we have been playing with it in our sensory table. You guys have been using cups and spoons and forks to play with it. Do you remember what food that is? You're right. It is rice. And rice is spelled R-I-C-E. So let's put a square around our beginning sound. And our beginning letter is the letter R. And R makes the R sound, like in rice. You guys hear that R sound? Very good. Our next letter is the letter D. And this one, which should be very easy, this is a pet that some people have at home. And it has a long tail and 4 legs and 2 ears, and it goes woof, woof, woof. What begins with the letter D? What word do you think I'm talking about? You're right. It's the word dog. And dog is spelled D-O-G. Just 3 letters. So let's put a square around our beginning letter. And our beginning letter is the letter D. And D makes the D sound. Can you guys do that with me? Dog. Dog. Very good. And our next letter is the letter O. And I am thinking of an animal that lives in the ocean. And he has lots of arms. You guys know which animal I'm talking about? You're right. It's an octopus. Here is the word octopus. Octopus is spelled O-C-T-O-P-U-S. That's a longer word, huh? So we are going to put a square around our beginning letter. And our beginning letter is the letter O. You guys do that with me? O. And O makes the ah sound, or O. So an octopus, it makes the ah sound, for octopus, just like the letter A. Remember, some letters, they make 2 sounds depending on what word you are spelling or what word you are reading. So it gets a little tricky. And our last letter for today is the letter K. And I am thinking about something that flies in the sky. And you hold it by a string and it flies in the air. And it has to be super windy outside. And sometimes you see a lot of these when you go to the beach. Do you guys have an idea of what it could be? You're right. It's a kite. Good job. So our beginning letter is the letter K. And let's put that box around it. And the letter K makes the same sound as the letter C. Do you guys remember what sound K makes? You're right. It makes a k sound. So let's do the K sound together. Kite. Very good, friends. You have done such a good job on your letter sounds. All right. Next. So this week, if you guys remember, we are talking all about ourselves and why we are special. So today, our journal entry, you are going to write the words I, which is the letter I, and then a finger space, and the word am, which is the letters A, M. And then a long line with a period. So it should look just like this. And it says, I am. And I want you guys to think about yourselves and what words could you use to describe yourself. So you could say, I am funny, or I am silly, or I am happy. And you can also, this is the time to use your feelings. You could say, I am feeling happy, or I am feeling sad, or I am fun to play with, or I am a good friend. There are so many things you could say about yourself, but I want you to pick one thing that makes you feel super special. And mommy and daddy can help you write it down. And then, of course, draw your picture of you doing whatever you wrote about yourself. Okay, friends? And that is the end of our circle time. I hope everyone had fun, and I will see you tomorrow for another circle time with more stories and more fun activities, all right? Have a good evening, friends.